Okay, so Strat-O-Matic has released their 1984 full season set, getting ready to play a full season with the 1984 New York Yankees. People may remember this year as the year that Don Mattingly and Dave Winfield went down to the final day, actually the final at bat, to determine the batting champion that year. Um, and this is just going to be a quick video on just my season preview on the 1984 New York Yankees. Give you a little snapshot on what I see and my thoughts on the team going into the season. Couple of quick notes on the 1984 Yankees. They finished 87 and 75 that year. And to break it down even more, they were 36 and 46 at the All Star break. Post All Star, they went 51 and 29. If memory serves me right, I think they had the best record in baseball in the second half of the season that year. Obviously, they were never in contention. That was the year the Tigers won 104 games and ran away with the American League East. But I do remember that summer a little bit. I was about 11 years old that summer, and I do remember that was the year the Yankees brought up Bobby Meacham and Mike Pagliarulo in the second half, and really going off of the schedule and the results off of BaseballReference.com, you could see where they cleaned up in the second half of the season, especially in August when they beat up on a lot of the American League West teams. And my initial thoughts on the 1984 Yankee Strat-O-Matic team is there are a lot of cards on this team. Um, After I got the set and I first put all the teams together, and then I was looking over the Yankees, there's a lot of cards on the 1984 Yankees that were really very pleasant surprises when I was going through them. And I'm going to go through some of those cards with you right now. First, I'm going to go through a couple of bullpen guys here. Number one, the setup guy that year, second half of the season, was Jay Howell. And you see his numbers from the 1984 season right there. And I kind of thought going in that he would have a pretty good card. But then now I'm going to show you his on base chances when you roll his card. And you could see those are excellent, excellent numbers. And not to mention that Jay Howell's very good at keeping the ball in the ballpark. He doesn't like really have any home runs on his card. So that card actually turned out to be a lot better than I thought going in. Because one of the things that I do when I kind of anticipate a set coming is I go on baseballreference.com, look at the players' stats, and for pitchers, one of the big stats I look at obviously is WHIP because that plays a big role in your Strat-O-Matic card. You know, how many hits and walks do you have on your card? And I kind of had a feeling going in that Jay Howell would have a good card from that year, but this is really an excellent card. Um, Now, it's also nice too because you get pretty good bang for your buck out of Jay Howell because he did pitch 103 innings that year. So it's not like he was only up for like a month and threw like 40 innings. So that's really nice to have. Next, I'm going to show you the closer, Dave Righetti. You see his numbers there from the 1984 season. Again, all these numbers are off baseballreference.com. So I thought the whip was maybe a little bit high. I know when pitchers get to that 1.2, even 1.3 area, sometimes the cards can get a little rough around the edges a little bit. But now I'm going to show you Dave Righetti's on base chances on this 1984 Strat-O-Matic card, and you can see they come out just like Jay Howell. So I'm really a lot more solid in the bullpen than I thought going in. It's nice to have a nice 1-2 punch in the bullpen. I could tell you the 84 Yanks don't have like a lefty specialist. The only lefty they had out of the pen that year was Bob Shirley, and he was more of a like a spot starter, long relief guy, you know, like a mop up guy. Um, so I do feel pretty good about the bullpen. So that was a very pleasant surprise when I first looked at the cards. Now I'm going to break down um, some of the starting pitchers. I'm going to break down the cards for Ray Fontenot, Dennis Rasmussen, and Joe Cowley. And you see their on base chances right there. So all those numbers check out, frankly, a lot better than I thought going in. I could tell you that all of their cards are definitely better than Ron Guidry's card because Ron Guidry that year had kind of a rough year. He was off of a 20-win season in 1983 and 85. He came back and won 20 games again. I think he won 22 in 1985. But if memory serves me right, I think he was pitching hurt for a little bit in that season, as I think he only started about 27 games that year. And Phil Negro has a pretty solid card as well. But I would say overall, the starting pitching turned out to be a little better than I expected going in before I got the cards and really looked at them and broke them down. Now, real quick, I'm just going to break down a couple offensive players for you. Before I wrap up here and give you some final thoughts as I head into this season. Um, First, Willie Randolph that year. At first look, I kind of knew that this wasn't one of Randolph's best years, especially when I played in the past with like the 1980 Yankees, which was probably Randolph's best offensive season that year as far as on base percentage and stealing bases. But you could see his on base chances check out pretty good, especially against left handed pitching. So, pretty solid in the leadoff spot there. Now I'm going to show you Mattingly and Winfield's. I'm going to show you all their stats here. First, their on base chances, and then their hits with multiple base advancement. And I'd say right there, you've got a very, very solid 3-4 combo with Mattingly and Winfield. So I think the offense checks out pretty good. Some of the on base percentages on the 1984 Yankees was a little bit down that year, not to mention the power. There isn't a whole heck of a lot of left handed power on this team, especially when you look at a guy like Steve Kemp in left field, and the DH was Don Baylor, obviously a right handed hitter. And the ballpark effect for Yankee Stadium in 1984 on the D20 is a 1 out of 20. So that's going to rob a lot of Don Baylor's home run chances for games played at Yankee Stadium. But my overall thoughts on the 1984 Yankee Strat-O-Matic team is this team actually looks a little better on paper than I initially thought going in. And looking at their real life results when they went 87 and 75 in 1984, I think my goal for this team playing a season with the 84 Yanks is I think I could realistically get this team to 92 wins. So that's going to be my goal going into the season is to get them to 92 and 70. That is basically based off the fact that obviously I'm really solid in the middle of the order with Mattingly and Winfield 3-4. Don Baylor, who usually hits fifth, has a pretty good card, a good enough card. Steve Kemp, now keep in mind, Steve Kemp only played sparingly in 1984 because he got hurt. I think he only had about 300. I think his at bats were in the low 300s that year. And I do go off of that as well. Um, I try not to have guys go over their workload from what they actually did in the actually season when I play these full seasons. Steve Kemp in left field, not a lot of power. I obviously don't have any power at third base with Toby Harrah there. It was in the second half of the season when Mike Pagliarulo came up, so that's pretty much what I'm going to wait to do there. I think the offense checks out pretty good. The pitching, I would also say, is just pretty good. The starting pitching, however, like I said before, the cards came out better than I anticipated with the starters. And the bullpen was a very, very pleasant surprise. I think I'm really, really solid with the closer and the setup guy. Not to mention, I didn't break down Mike Armstrong's card from 1984. He has a pretty solid card as well. So I do like the depth in the bullpen on this 1984 Yankee team. So what I'll be doing over the next few months or so is I'll be doing little short videos on little updates on where I am in the season and how things are going so far. I don't know. Maybe I'll break it down by month, or maybe I'll just do, maybe I'll wait till the All Star break and then break it down that way. I haven't really figured that out. But I got my season all set up. I've got the schedule written down with the pitching matchups, and I've got my Excel spreadsheet ready to go on my computer so I could keep stats in a quicker and more organized fashion. So that's my game plan over these next couple of months. It's a lot of fun playing these full seasons, even though I know I'm not going to be playing for any chance of making the postseason because, well, let's face it, if I win 105 games with the 1984 Yankees, I cheated in some sort of way by beating out the Tigers. So I know that's not going to happen. But I would like to get this team to over 90 wins, and I do think that that is really possible because um, now I haven't gone through all the American League teams yet, but I have gone through a lot of the teams in the AL West, and I could tell you some of the teams in the American League West from 1984 were just dreadful. I mean, some of these teams are just terrible. And if I remember right, the Royals did win that division in 1984. I think they only won like 83 games winning that division that year. So this is definitely a team in Strat-O-Matic that will beat up on some of the lesser teams because even though some guys like Randolph and Griffey and Don Baylor, even though this 1984 wasn't their best season or their best Stratomatic cards, I think their cards are good enough to help the offense. And Mattingly and Winfield from 1984 are legit. This 3-4 combo matches up with some of the combos that I've done videos on from my special team series set teams from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So that's my goal on the 1984 season that I'm about to play with the New York Yankees is I hope to get him to a 92 and 70 record. And I look forward to updating everyone along the way on how things are going with the 84 Yanks, as well as I'll be working on some more team analysis videos as best I can. So, as always, I thank you all for watching and listening, and I'll talk to you guys down the road. Have a good day, everyone.